If you had ranked choice voting, you would see new parties emerge, I believe, in the general election, because the fact is a lot of people don't like either party. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Florida, but nationwide, 62% of people want to move on from the duopoly. So many people in Florida and around the country are just like getting inflamed and tribalized or checking out. And what they don't realize is that the solution is at hand if we can just get ranked choice voting across the finish line in Florida and around the country.
Hey guys, so I am thrilled to introduce to you our special guest tonight. He is someone who has both motivated and inspired me to get involved in politics. And I'm very happy to announce Andrew Yang.
Hey, Carrie Ann, how are you? It's great to see you.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing better for seeing your smiling face. Wow. I'm sure that's true for everyone here. I'm a huge Carrie Ann fan, and you're very, very fortunate to have her in Florida, honestly. Thrilled to be here. Watching David present has been awesome, really. And he reminds me of other people I've seen who are tremendous leaders in this space, because the folks who are fighting for ranked choice voting are principled, clear, a little bit ahead of your time, a little bit visionary. I think that's a pretty good description of everyone here, I'm guessing. And there are so many folks who have just thrown their hands up and given up on our politics, when really what they want is ranked choice voting. like they don't know that necessarily, but more and more people are figuring it out every single day. Certainly you're making that happen in Florida. I will do everything I can to help make people aware of the fact that the things that disgust us and upset us and sadden us about our politics can be dramatically improved just by having a better process, better freaking choices, so that you can't get bullied, you can't get intimidated, you can't be told like, hey, you're going to waste your vote. Like you have to vote for this person, you have to vote for that person, and like this person isn't serious, and like all of this terrible stuff that's making it so that our democracy really is not genuinely representative. I mean, the folks here want real choice. People in Florida want real choice, just they don't know that they can have real choice until we educate them and say, look, you're ranked choice voting, you can vote for whoever you want. And I will say, for me personally, I'm not sure if this is out of your scope, David, open primaries, can vote for people in any party you want, like that also would be a tremendous boost for a lot of people. What is Florida's process, David?
Well, we had a ballot initiative last year for open primaries that did not pass. So
we're back to the numbers, Carrie Ann.
David, do you know the numbers? I don't.
I think it was, you need to clear 60% in order for it to pass. So it was 57 or 58% yes. So that was not enough for it to pass. The current system is a closed primary system.
Ooh. But still, you can tell, guys, 3% away, that was this close. There's a lot of desire. So we here tonight are the vanguard that's just going to guide the state from 57 to 60% to ranked choice voting, and make it so that leaders all of a sudden become more reasonable and rational and responsive to people. And it's not that I frankly, if you're not in my party, I don't have to pay any attention to you in most of these locations, because it's like I just need to get my party's nomination, and then I'm neat in the shade in most of these environments. So thrilled to be here with you all. I'm going to try and grow your effort, your tribe. But I've loved every single person I've met in the democracy reform space, because you just want things to work better. And so many people in Florida and around the country are just like getting inflamed and tribalized or checking out. And what they don't realize is that the solution is at hand if we can just get ranked choice voting across the finish line in Florida and around the country. And Florida would be enormous. I mean, you all are a very important state politically. Like that would be a game changer.
Absolutely. So we do have some questions for you tonight that were submitted beforehand. My personal question to you is, when are you coming to Florida? I noticed that your book tour did not stop here, and I promise you our weather is better than what you got in New York right now. So
Where should I go in Florida, Carrie Ann?
Too many cities.
I'm going to be there in April in Miami. Let's make something happen. Just reach on out. Look at this, Carrie Ann doing outreach even on the Zoom.
It never stops. It never stops. Okay. So my first question for you is from John in Sarasota. And this is a good one. I like it. You have run in two very high profile races, the New York mayoral race and the Democratic presidential primary. The New York race used ranked choice voting. The primary did not. So what, if any, differences were there in your campaigns, knowing that ranked choice voting either would or would not be used?
The two races were so different. In the presidential, it was me just trying to get attention all the time. If ranked choice voting had existed, I would have done better because I was a lot of people's second, third choice. I was number one in who you'd want to get a beer with in Iowa. I was number one among young people. So if you could just have ranked me, I would have finished very strongly. In New York, it was the opposite dynamic where instead of being the scrappy nobody underdog, I was the front runner, which meant I just got pot shotted every day.
Yeah.
And so the ranked choice voting dynamic did enable me to campaign with another candidate, which I was not able to do in the presidential. It made it so that I will confess to you all, this is something that I have like misgivings about. But you could get talked into doing just about anything because even if they were loyalists of another candidate, they would be like, hey, just go there and maybe you'll get some seconds or thirds. And so there were a lot of times I was doing events where I was like, these people are going to vote for me.
Well, and you're a softie too, because you make friends with everybody. You make friends with your opponents.
Yeah, I am generally a nice guy that way. So some candidates are easier to become friends with than others. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, our next question is, how would ranked choice voting help increase third-party representation? But you kind of touched on that a little bit, but if you have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, so right now, no third party can compete or contend because they just get told you're going to spoiler, for whichever party is like the good guys and whatever the heck case. And so if you had ranked choice voting, then you can be like, look, I'm just going to vote for the person I like the best. And, if you wind up having the other person second, then no harm done. What's interesting is all the people that want to bully you about this don't actually want to hear about solutions. 9 times out of 10, if you're like, yeah, I could fix this with ranked choice voting, they're not like, oh, like tell me more. They're like, it's just like they actually just want to foreclose options. They want to restrict choice. So if you had ranked choice voting, you would see new parties emerge. I believe in the general election, because the fact is a lot of people don't like either party. I mean, I don't know what it's like in Florida, but nationwide, 62% of people want to move on from the duopoly. So the truth is like, no one likes either of these parties, but they just lock it up so you don't have a choice.
In Florida, we have 11 parties last time I checked. So definitely a lot of Florida voters who are looking for another option.
Wow, I like the sound of that.
I know, right?
Down there and make it 12, or maybe we're number 11.
I don't know. I don't remember if I counted us or not. All right. So our next one is from Edwin, and this is a really good one too. With so many politicians currently trying to enact voter reforms to favor their party, what is the difference with RCV, or how can we explain that to people?
Oh, RCV just means you get better candidates. So if someone's a Republican, you can say, look, Glenn Youngkin got nominated through ranked choice voting. And he won. Like if you want someone who's electable, RCV helps. Some people will love that unless they just really love wackos. Another thing about RCV that conservatives like is that it saves money. It saves money and time. That there are these Utah Republicans who got converted to it because it shortened their nomination process from 9 hours to 2. And then they were like, I got my day back. And then I became a believer. Like we didn't have to do, 50 runs. So there are different arguments that work on different people. The best thing about it is that it just means you're tapping into better voter demonstrated support. Because right now, the current archaic plurality voting system, it obscures so much It's like, and they like it that way. The truth is that the parties just don't want any competition, which is why so many of us are so frustrated.
Absolutely. So this next one, I think, kind of ties into that a little bit. And I feel like part of this conversation is the terminology. So the question is, how do you create excitement, interest, and curiosity when trying to share info about RCV? And that's from Masuma and Newberry. But what I'm thinking is the terminology, like instant runoff voting, when you call it that, it's like self-explanatory, right? And it seems to be like a really easy to understand thing. So how do you think we landed on ranked choice voting instead of instant runoff voting? And then how do we generate excitement around that term?
You know, what's interesting is that the official title of it was instant runoff voting, and then it got called ranked choice voting in some academic paper, and then people ran with that. What's interesting, Carrie Ann, is that like I started the Forward Party because I thought that people needed like a tribe to want to contend and compete. It's a bit of circularity. It's like, why do you need ranked choice voting or instant runoff voting? Is like so you can have more choice. And I was like, here's a choice. But the best arguments I've seen have been around like making it so that no one can tell you who to vote for. It's like, aren't you tired of them just like saying like can't vote for this person, have to vote for this person? Like just you're able to vote your preferences. And it turns out that the human mind, ordering things 1, 2, 3 is actually the most natural way for us to think about candidates.
Oh, interesting. I guess people do like to rank things, huh?
Yeah, you could just, I was thinking that Michael Jackson song, be like A, B, C, easy as 1, 2, 3.
They need to play that at the polls, right? When we're going in.
Yeah, maybe we do need a theme song. I'll have to work on it.
We do. Somebody wrote a ranked choice voting song. It's out there in the social media sphere, but we need a theme song. All right. So my last question that I'm going to ask you before we transition to chat questions from David. And this is a great one considering the current situation in Florida right now. Paul from Clearwater wants to know, how can ordinary citizens create pro-RCV pressure on an unelected official like the Florida Secretary of State? Because down here, our Secretary of State is appointed by the governor. So how do we pressure someone who's not elected?
Yeah, so you gotta figure out how to get to him and the people close to him. So the first thing that came to mind for me is like, is he in a town? Can you have that town paper or publication do something that's pro RCV that you can then make sure he sees? Can you do an event somewhere in their community so that they feel like the people around them are really into it? Political figures are very prone to, like the kind of secret dark forces, which is like, okay, like who wants what? But they are also human beings that if you can get in front of them every once in a while, like it actually, sways them in a way that's very, very direct. So that's where I would go if you have an unelected Secretary of State, is just, all right, who's this person? Where do they hang out? How can we just make sure that they like see some stuff about this? And, it's, just be like, oh, fancy seeing you here, Secretary.
Yeah, find his favorite dinner spot, hang out with signs out front, that kind of thing. Rank the options on the
like
menu.
who they, I wouldn't be above that sort of thing.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like fun. I'm on it. Thank you so much for chatting with me. It was really good to see you again. And I'm going to turn it over to David to ask a few more questions.
All right.
Carrie Ann, miss you. See you soon, hopefully.
All right. Thank you so much, Carrie Ann. And I'm going to go into the Google form questions that we got. The first one comes from Jew in Jacksonville. How do electoral reformers break through the wonkiness of this effort? In other words, what do we need to do in order to pitch this to people the right way and get them to understand it?
Yeah, I agree. This is the major impediment to the movement, really, is that most people don't want to hear about mechanics or plumbing or any of that jazz. I think it's really capitalizing on people's disdain or disgust, where you're just like, hey, aren't you tired of being told you have to vote for one of these two people? Like, aren't you tired of being bullied around your voting? I feel like that is a message that would work. Just the change message, that like the disdain, the fact that so many people are checked out. But I'll confess to you that I haven't really found like the answer on this, because people respond to tribal appeals first and foremost. So the single best thing that you all have going is that you already have a culture in your organization. It seems like a very positive, delightful, solutions-oriented culture. And there are a lot of people that want to join that sort of outfit. When I say a lot, I don't mean like 50% of the population, unfortunately. But I would say 10 to 15% of the population like could get very, very excited about it. So you have to try and identify that 10 to 15%. There are going to be a lot of people that just, like don't think in these terms. But I'm experiencing the same thing at a national level. And I was joking with someone that like the 10 to 15% of the folks that are in our tribe, they tend to be really effective. They tend to be business people or like folks who run organizations, where when you talk to them about this process change, they get excited. So that's my advice, is like target those people. I'm happy to say that those people tend to be more effective. Just like I said, the people here in this gathering are more effective than normal. I certainly know that's true for Carrie Ann. So just try and find your tribe. And if someone's not in your tribe, they just really like the, whatever, like the nonsense in the games, that it's probably, like not the right group for them to join.
All right. And then Andrew, we're getting a lot of questions for people that want to hear about what's next for the Forward Party in particular. That's like a pretty substantial amount of questions in the chat. Steve from Southport is talking about whether Forward Party is going to have a convention, and whether we have another individual that is talking about, what they can do to bring about Forward Party candidates. So I just want to give some space to talk just about the Forward Party, because it seems like that's something a lot of people want to hear about tonight.
Well, thank you, everyone. The Forward Party will have a convention. We are trying to pick a city. Miami is on the list. What are the other cities on the list? It's Vegas, Austin, and Miami are the three main contenders. But
Atlanta.
you can throw Atlanta in there too. I mean, I like Atlanta. We're now talking to various candidates. We should have some exciting announcements on that front. We will endorse Democrats or Republicans, but there are people that have reached out to us about running on the Forward Party line in certain states. So we should have some big announcements there. We're talking to some other third-party efforts about joining forces, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to do our best to be a player in this midterm in 22. And make a dent in some of the things that we all care so much about. But yeah, convention, I have to say, I'm really excited about it. Wherever it's going to be sunny. it's gonna be an upgrade over my current environment in terms of that. But the energy that you all have here, and like this 10-15% I'm talking about, like that is the vibe of the Forward Party. And I have to tell you, like it really is a joy. And anytime I attend any meeting of ours, and some of the candidates that we're going to be supporting, I'm super excited about, and I think we have a chance to make some waves.
Okay. So we're coming up against time for other things in our agenda. I think, Andrew, I'm going to give you the opportunity, whether you want to throw it up or whether you want to give some closing thoughts. But I'm just going to step back and give you the space to do that if you'd like.
Well, thank you. So I'm such a huge fan of everyone here and this organization and what you're building. Like you really are the tip of the spear. It's glorious, and we have to do our best to lead our fellow Americans and Floridians to the solutions. I ran for president because I'm crazy. No, I ran for president because I only feel better about a problem when I'm doing something about it. You know what I mean? Like if you're like sour about something, it's like, oh, as soon as you do something about it. I have a feeling that you all feel better about things just because you're acting. And so that's what we have to try and guide our fellow Americans to, is like, look, this stuff makes you crazy, makes you sad. Like, let's do something about it. And we don't need 50% to change the course of history. We need 10%, truly. So let's go get our 10%, and then let's shock the tribalized majority when they wake up and they're like, wait a minute, like things are working better. Like I have real choices. The people are more sane and reasonable. And then we'll nod and be like, yeah, that was us. That was us doing the work. So excited to be here with you all. Knock 'em dead, Florida. Knock 'em dead.